Mapagpalang araw po sa ating lahat. Thank you, Philippine Sociological Society, for this opportunity to present one of the outputs of our project. I am Clarence M. Batan, the lead investigator, and with me are my team members.
Hi, I'm Myrtle, one of the research assistants.
I'm Gui, also a research assistant.
I'm Nadine, a research associate.
I'm Harley, a research associate.
I am Jason, also a research affiliate.
For this presentation, we're going to share some working insights on decolonized methods based on our National Catechetical Study. We are from the Department of Sociology of the Faculty of Arts and Letters and also from the Research Center for Social Sciences and Education of the University of Santo Tomas. For nearly 8 years now, we implemented Pastoral Action Research and Intervention PARI project in partnership with the CBCP, Episcopal Commission on Catechesis and Catholic Education, which allowed us to see how social science methods shaped and impact the conduct of our study. Relative to the theme of our conference, our thesis for this presentation is that in our project, the colonized research appears to be founded on our insistence on using local concepts and language, in-depth understanding of and consideration of the local context and issues, and positioning of the research to be inclusive, participatory, and inviting. We invite everyone to journey with us in this discourse. We shall follow this presentation outline. I now give the virtual floor to my fellow paper presenters.
Thank you, Doc Yayet. Our paper is a research method story, particularly on thinking about what Smith calls as decolonizing methodologies. This focuses on centering our concerns and worldviews from our own perspective and for our own purposes. This is particularly salient because the core subject matter of our NCS study on a religious space known as Catholicism is a colonial legacy embraced in more than 500 years by most Filipinos. We documented the persistence of the state and nature of Filipino Catholicism in the context of catechetical ministry. Thus, in a sense, we are attempting to do a sociology of Catholicism using the lives of catechista as our core focus. Over the years, we labored to understand the 5 dimensions of catechetical ministry, which calls for systematic and complex methodologies. As a methods paper, the first set of literature we reviewed are on methods. This can be found in our research monograph, The Catechista Findings and Insights, which captures the many varied research methods we employed. Correspondingly, we reviewed the concept of research impact as well as limited literature on decolonized methods. I now call on Myrtle to discuss our research focus.
Such scarcity of literatures did not deter us to consider asking the question, how does the pastoral action, research, and intervention PARI approach, relatively conceptualized as conscious of the decolonized method discourse, shape and impact the findings, insights, and outcomes of the NCS project? In this study, our framework follows the pastoral action, research, and intervention approach, which is centered on the pastoral idea of the church through attaining a grounded understanding of catechetical ministry by conducting action research that led us to design and implement research-based intervention or REO activities. This research matrix embodies the overall methodology of our study. I now call on Nadine to share the methods.
For this paper, we employed archival research of both the physical and digital archives of our project. We utilized our project files such as questionnaires, handouts, reports, proceedings, etc. in our office and online. Since 2022, we began the archiving of materials produced, used, and gathered by our project through a systematic record-keeping and codebook using Microsoft Excel. For our analysis, we used codes, themes, and visual representations to share our findings and insights. I now call on Jason to share the findings and insights.
Thank you. In the process of everything, we found that the methods and the way our project did and was disposed to do research was guided by decolonized methods in the social sciences. We insisted in using local concepts, primarily Catequista, and in using our native languages and sharing our research nationally and even internationally, particularly through the 7 books produced by our project and shared to numerous catechists in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao since 2022. Because of the PARI framework we employed in this project, we responded to the observed contexts and issues emanating from the data, and in response, employing our intervention projects. One of the challenges that we experienced is the COVID-19 pandemic of 2020. In my undergraduate thesis on catechetical engagement, I observed that although many engagements were suspended, many engagements nevertheless flourished and developed. This reflected in our project through our use of the internet, especially through our website, to share our research process, and also our social media, where we were able to engage many catechists, especially when we were in Rio. As a fruit of the PARI approach, the project used online means and made it accessible to many catechists amidst the many limitations but also opportunities at the time. Among them, for instance, is a radio catechesis in the local language managed by the Diocese of San Jose de Antique. We invited catechists, catechetical leaders, lay, clergy, and bishops to be with us in the virtual space to share and celebrate the catechetical ministry. Among them is our series of Kwentong Katekista webinars, where different persons from the catechetical ministry represented Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao engaged with us online. In our book, Katekista Tulang Pananaliksik, research forms were translated to 8 Philippine languages by native speakers acquainted with our project. I now call on Harley to continue sharing our insights.
These led to the participatory nature observed in the methods and implementation of our project, which included consultative dialogues as a preliminary research activity with respect to the local context and issues of catechesis throughout the Philippines. Further, we approach our catechists and church servers as co-journeyers in our study in training Katekistang Kalakbay sa Pananaliksik. As our partners in data gathering, we consulted with catechists, the catechized, and the catechetical leaders also as collaborators in this work. We pre-tested our materials and translated them in Filipino in the spirit of pastoral and sociological sensitivity to our respondents and collaborators. Among them are the bishops themselves who commissioned this study, which we presented from 2017 to 2022. So I now call on Doc Gayet to continue sharing our insights.
Thank you, Harley. Based on our archival data and a review of our study, the methods employed by our interventions were inviting throughout the 86 ecclesiastical territories reached by our Catechista book caravans or KBCs, sharing already 3,845 books since 2022 up to until June this year. As you could see in our documentations and visual data, from our bishops and clergy to our catechists, we were able to reach many through our humble research sharing since 2022, even reaching Rome and the Vatican, and to Pope Francis himself, who in our sociological study we consider as the first catechist of our church. In the recent annual meeting of catechetical ministers, or AMCM, in Haro this year, the same spirit was felt. When we shared our SEED, our Synodality and Reaching Evangelization Design Catechetical Module Making Workshop project as a completion to our 8-year study on Catechista. We shared and employed on-site and online synchronous and asynchronous modes of research sharing through module making to reach as many catechists given the varied context and issues across the Philippines, particularly in the ecclesiastical territories of San Pablo, Dipolog, Osamis, Pagadian, Iligan, Marawi, Kidapawan, Marbel, Cotabato, and Balanga, comprising of Luzon, and also including Visayas and some in Mindanao. Binding all this together, during our last AMCM in 2023, one of our NCS partners, Father Gino, expressed the impact of our project to the Diocese of Caloocan, especially in the context of public schools. This is but one testimony that affirmed the research impact of our study all over the country. But one moment in a research story perhaps captures, at least symbolically, the fruit and essence of our presentation. When Sister Gemma D personally handed our book to Pope Francis last 2022, in the context of our decolonial discourse, symbolically, this moment gives representation to the unrecognized hidden treasures of the Catholic Church, none other than to whom the book was named, Catequista, a Filipino term. We hope that our presentation highlighted the possibilities of doing decolonized methods in the context of doing sociological research about Filipino Catholicism, which in the catechetical ministry came through the use and our insistence of the use of local concepts and language, pastoral and sociological competence to local context and issues. These are the references we used. And if interested, you can visit our NCS website to see and download our publications for free. Muli, maraming salamat at pagpalain po tayo ng poong may kapal.